Hello everyone, good evening. I got a request to actually show how the timetabling works in this game. With the recent release of 8 Train 9 train construction, where you can create your own trains and bring them into the game, there are plenty of new people trying to get into the game, and everyone who played this game before knows it takes a lot of time to get into it and master the first 3 months, for example. And to make it easier for new players, I thought I'd give a short introduction in one of the key things to control the trains in this game. There are plenty of options, and it really depends on the situations which one you are using. For example, if you are only running a few trains on a very um, not so busy line, it's probably easier. But if you are like here, for example, in a very sophisticated scenario where the trains basically are in sync with each other to allow people to board all the trains, it can really get complex. So, now as the intro basically finished, let's get into the game. I created a map which I can use for this demo for at least the majority of the functions. I probably split it in several parts for some special topics because they're maybe a bit more complex to prepare. But I have a map that basically goes with a time compression of 1 to 3, which means that 1 real life second equals 3 seconds in the game. That makes it easier to set up a time schedule. Also, I prepared a bit infrastructure which we can use, and there is almost no rolling stock, and almost no traffic. What we have in this map is basically one lonesome truck, nothing else, no trains, no bus, this truck. And this truck actually is just there to maybe attract some people to get material from the outside world to this storage. And the timetable, if you enter the game without having set up any options before, is rather slim. It's the same for trucks, for buses, or for trains. It gives you a short information about the load from the day, the name, and then actually from the timetable you have a few options. If we start this map, the truck should move. Go to the map, get some container, and just drop it off. How do I know that? The action mode is one of the most important functions to control the rolling stock or the truck. It has different options. For example, the stop mode says how long this truck should park here before it departs again, which means it comes, waits 10 minutes, goes again. And where it goes basically says the next option: does it return where it came from using reverse, or does it just go by the other way? In this case, the truck commutes basically between the end of the map, there it comes, now the container, comes to the distribution center, let's up a bit. Oh, yeah, there it comes. Now it waits 10 minutes. If we just fast forward. Then it goes again. The same direction. And picks up more continuous. That's what it's doing. For buses, it's the same terminal, just loads passengers instead of cargo. And when it comes to stations, we have a few more information. Platform length, number of platforms per day, and for the timetable, again the stop mode, action mode, what it should do with some more options, and direction again, and also the opportunity to head shunt, to basically, if you have a locomotive driven train, to set up the locomotive from one end of the train to the different one. That's mostly used for cargo trains if they are not having a cap on both sides. The complexity actually comes with the game once you enable more options. This basically is a basic setup of timetables, and in your options there is the timetable options, and here you can say enable advanced timetable settings with lots of many options. Also for branches, let's enable it. Let's go full options, allow reverting, enable custom schedules as well. I just, for my personal preference, do not use this fixed timetable menu position. It means you can't move that, it will always be somewhere at this point. But I like it to move around. What actually happens once you enable it? You should review your settings for the existing trains or trucks or buses. In this case, reverse is still working, load unload works. Okay. I had it before because the settings were somewhat messed up. 5 minutes. Okay. Let's go through the individual settings we actually now have for our truck before we move on to our railway station. What's important, of course, is to select which vehicle we want to make this timetable count for, so you can set up this timetable per vehicle, per terminal in this case. The action mode, what should it do? Again, 5 minutes waiting and then continue. Which direction? In reverse direction, so not going forward this way but returning again to the end of the map. What should happen with the load? Basically we only want to unload here because we are importing only and we do not want to export it this time. And when do we want to do that? As you can see, we are in April, now in spring, so we could set it to the year time where we want to have this timetable valid. Also, we can say we want to have it every day, weekdays, holidays. Um, Holidays basically are Sundays, or if you enable the calendar, the red days where there are public holidays. And of course, we can say we want for certain cases, for example, our cargo trains do not run on a Monday because on Sunday there is no production, or on Saturday. So we don't want on Monday, but again on Tuesday, so the production from Monday we can pick up on Tuesday. This option you can do here. Moving on to very advanced functions are special timetables when you, for example, want to say on weekdays this truck should behave differently than on holidays. So you set it up on weekdays in a normal timetable. On holidays you can say it should behave differently. Now the truck is moving on again, bringing more load, but we should keep it alone. Maybe something happens and we see some development of the city, but as you can see we are only progressing very slowly. I don't expect much. Okay, for bus terminals the settings are the same, just instead of cargo we are using passengers. And now we are coming to the trains. The station, from information point of view, has the default ones, how long the platforms are, how many there are. You always have to pay attention if you want your train stop on this station that is not longer than the platform. We can set up names if we want. Each numbering starts with a 0. You have to get used to it. If it's the train or truck, it always starts with 0, not with 1. The timetable itself, same information. We have to set up for which train it is valid on which platform. So basically you can set up the train starting on platform 1, going everywhere, set a switch to switch it to platform 2, and then say what actually should happen with train 0 on platform 2. So that's basically 2 timetables. The more trains or cars you are using, the more complex it gets, and a common problem is that you mix up the train or the platform. So you just always pay attention which of the platform is lit. But in worst case, you have the opportunity to copy your data from one platform to the others for this selected train. Not only for the target platform, but also for all platforms. Don't be afraid, you can use the mouse over tips, the tool tips that are very informative, and even I use them very a lot. Okay, the action mode. One of the most important things. Let's return to platform 1. Currently everything is grayed out because we do not have a train running here. From default we have the 10 minutes that comes for almost everything. And let's buy a train. Just pick a random one. Here, let's place it this way. Okay, there won't be any passengers because we do not have any in our city. Nope, population 0. Okay, this train 0, what is actually happening? What we noticed at first, when it arrived, it turned around. Why did it do it? Because it's the end of the track. If there were some more rail here, it would have tried to get past this and return only at the end of the track. Using train 0 on platform 1 in departure direction straight is not useful because it does not go there, so we want it to reverse. But let's start from top. Train 0, platform 1, okay, stop mode. Again, every 10 minutes it's doing something. This basically makes us independent from any schedules, so it just commutes between two stations back and forth. But in most cases you want your train's departure at certain times. If you do that, you can set up when actually the train should start the schedule. This is basically the first time given here, and when the next one, and everything in between is calculated as a kind of cycle. So for example, if you say the train should start at 6 and then again at 7, it gives us 1 hour time, so each hour this train departs. That is basically what it says. You can use your mouse wheel to fine-tune here and there. Also this little yellow tick tells you what's the current time, and whenever one of those boxes is over, that basically means that it's the start of a new cycle. So we had 9:50 and at 10 again the train would go. The last figure here basically says when the train should not depart anymore. So at the moment the last run of this train would be at midnight. The game actually is very well advanced in how the load of passenger is distributed depending on how your city develops. There are industries or leisure facilities that generate traffic for the night. Then it might be useful to have a train with not so many people but running at night, and the high volume expensive trains you can run during the day where there are many more passengers. So in this scenario I would say after 10 I do not want this train anymore. So the last one to pick up the passengers, the last cycle, let's say, yeah, at 10. Last time at 10, then it can go the last run, and then when it returns it waits again until 6 in the morning. Couple option is basically when you want to merge two trains. I think I'll make a separate video on this one because it takes a bit longer to set that up. Switch side means it stops at the other side of the station. You can play around with that if you want. And to uncouple is when you couple them, you can take them apart again. Probably no couple and uncouple are probably no use cases when you're starting a game, but when your city is quite developed and you want to have some branch lines connect and then go some common route together and then split again, you can set up using those two options. Departure direction, when the train arrives it should reverse. That's okay. There's a head shunt options. I I don't know if I make it later or also in a separate video. Basically to run around the locomotive for the train so it couples on the other end. I think I'll show that with the cargo train. The passengers, what should happen with them? They should board, alight, whatever, or just keep them as they are. Service again, you can set up the times, or even if you don't want to run it, suspend it. Might be some interaction, for example, if an industry is not producing due to a holiday, you just suspend it for a day rather than setting up a complete timetable for this. And the hedge hunt, that basically gives you the opportunity to say where it should go when it runs around the train. That's the setup of the route. Basically, that's all you need to do to give you a start. And I think I'll make a separate video having two trains here meeting and then explaining what actually I have done. I hope this gives you a little start and see you in the next session. Bye!